Welcome to Life Happens, where Texans come to protect their legacy and prepare for the second half of life. Join your host, Attorney Kim Hegwood of Your Legacy Legal Care, and our weekly guest as we navigate the challenges that emerge as life happens. Now here's your host, Kim Hegwood.
Good morning. Welcome to Life Happens with me, Kim Hegwood, and our very special guest today is Sharon Cantrell from The Amazing Place. Good morning.
Good morning.
And I'm super excited to have you on here because we're big fans of The Amazing Place and all the stuff you do for caregivers. And today we're going to talk about early education provides hope for dementia caregivers, which is awesome. And um, and so let's kind of step back and let's try to get some. We're going to kind of baby step our listeners today a little bit. And so, how do you know you could be a dementia caregiver and what your first step should be? So, how does someone's? I mean, a lot of times we find out that some people just end up doing it and they don't have a lot of options. And but if they want to be a dementia caregiver, what's the first steps?
Well, we have found that a lot of people are, especially in the earliest stage, they are dementia caregivers and they're not aware. So if you see some subtle changes, like unexplained generosity, um, a change in how they're managing paying the bills, some short-term memory problems, increased agitation and anxiety or depression, um, even if it's mild, minor accidents involving peripheral vision. Your vision in this way may be little minor side swipes or hesitancy or trying to get into a lane where there's already a car, just minor things, but involves peripheral vision. Um, and they're quieter in social situations. If you notice any of those things and you are concerned, you feel concerned, you could be a dementia caregiver. These are disease signs in the earliest stage. I think the first thing you would do is get a differential diagnosis from a neurologist specialty. So there are lots of diseases that cause dementia. Alzheimer's isn't the only one, and they are managed differently. So your first step is to get a differential diagnosis telling you what is the disease that's causing these problems. Um, Number two, it's not just because I'm on this show, but number two is have a consultation with an elder law attorney. They have you need some forms in place, and it's very tricky when there is a diagnosis of dementia. So you need to, believe it or not, that's one of your first steps, because there's a kind of a small window where you can get some of these forms in place. And then number three, call Amazing Place. We have we have all kinds of dementia experts here in the different areas of the journey, and we just want to help.
And perfect. Oh, excellent answers, by the way. and so
Thank you.
so, how does early recognition and intervention impact the progression of cognitive decline and caregiver emotions and that sort of thing?
We all don't want it to be true. That, I have people tell me all the time, and, everybody's fear. Oh, I don't want to, it's so prevalent today. Dementia is so prevalent. It's going to be even more prevalent in the next years, and nobody wants it. That's a lot of that is because people aren't aware of everything that can be done and how hopeful it can be. So if you see any of these signs and you have a gut feeling that it's not just normal aging, go on and go get a diagnosis, rule out if it's just something else that needs to be attended to, and begin your education of what you need to do on this journey. The Even in the mildest and earliest stage, great anxiety is triggered. When you're mildly confused, even mildly confused, and you notice that you're not able to do some of the same things that you've never had problems doing, you have a lot of anxiety. And that in turn can escalate and increase the advancement of the disease process. To be cared for in a more holistic manner where the person with dementia is cared for and they're getting what they need. And then the caregiver is educated in the beginning, really produces a better and more stable environment for this journey to begin.
Yeah, we recommend clients see their primary care physician right off the bat just to rule out simple things, especially if it comes on really fast, like
Yeah.
UTIs, because as you get older, those you see signs of dementia, with something
Mhm.
as simple as a UTI, and it just freaks me out that it works that
Yes.
way. But definitely catch the little, try to get the little things first, and then definitely we want you to see a good neurologist to have
Mhm.
a proper testing. So
Mhm.
so,
Mhm.
how do you counteract the hidden dangers in early dementia?
Uh, some of the first things to be impacted are higher executive level functioning, processing in the brain, and often short-term memory, immediate recall and short-term memory. Um, but in the early stages, the people are very functional. Sometimes they're even, they're working, very busy. They're very productive, very functional. They look fine. And that's great. You want to try to prolong that time for them as much as you can by reducing anxiety and frustration and taking care of all the things we've just mentioned. But uh, what is going on in the brain is already happening, and the hidden dangers, there are things you really, maybe you don't see. Maybe they're making mistakes at work, and work isn't saying anything yet. Maybe they're making mistakes in things that you don't handle or you never have handled. For instance, they can do concrete financial things like writing checks, handling a credit card, handling some cash. But where they're having the real problems is in the abstraction processing, and that is the relationship. They don't really understand the relationship between numbers. So they're not having a grasp of the big picture anymore. And I have had so many people come in to a first class having lost savings. A lot of savings are all their savings, simply because the person in charge was making, financial management mistakes that nobody was aware of. They are scammed easily.
Yeah.
Now, we can all get scammed these days. I know they are very sophisticated and they come with all kinds of information about you. And it can seem real. But people in the earliest stages, when they are doing concrete financial things, again, they can be scammed very, very easily. And that is a danger. The other danger is looking out for the anxiety and the depression. That's most typical early when you feel there's something wrong with you and you don't know what it is. And you can become clinically anxious and depressed. And, of course, that very much exacerbates the dementia.
That sounds like a lot, when you start to, get down to some of the nitty gritty. So, how do you remain hopeful, during the dementia journey when you kind of know what's coming?
That's a great question. There is hope in the education and understanding of what can be done to help your loved one be successful at each stage of dementia. Um, not only navigating the earlier stages, but at each stage, middle and late stage, to learn to see that big picture and begin to decide as a caregiver how you want to make this journey. How is it going to be sustainable for you? Caregivers are the critical key to the dementia journey. So to see the big picture, see that there is hopefulness in learning how you can modify and structure their daily environment and what you can do to support them and help them be successful at each stage relieves a lot of your stress. But to also be in control as far as making decisions earlier on about how you want to make the journey, where you want to make the journey, how you want to make the journey, and begin to put things in place.
So, what are some tips for hope and success with someone who has dementia kind of at every stage of the disease?
In the earliest stages, monitoring. Don't, even if you see them making mistakes, don't point out the mistakes all the time. That is very depressing and increases their anxiety. Be very positive, be complimentary, but begin to monitor. Always stay in their corner. In the earliest stages, resistance builds up because they are worried about things with themselves, but they are trying to continue to be productive and functional, and that's very critical to them. So help them do that. Begin to monitor things, but be in their corner and say, hey, we don't really need to figure out all of our taxes let's just hire somebody this year. I don't feel like driving. Let's not drive at night anymore. Let's just call an Uber. We can be safe together. I'm really kind of tired of driving. Sometimes too, you bring in someone else, a son-in-law, a daughter, to be the one, or even someone outside the family. Don't be the bad guy. If you're the direct caregiver, do not be the bad guy. In these earlier stages, you be the one. Know this ahead of time. Be the one in their corner. They're going to feel like no one else is. So the earlier stages, be in their corner, begin to monitor financial and big planning and big decisions. Be a part of those. Middle stage is where they begin to be more confused. They can be very functional, but the structure of what their daily life looks like changes. Things need to be on a good schedule, and their daily life tasks need to be simplified, very much simplified. They will need more assistance doing these things, and you begin to consider their personhood a lot. At this time, they're not going to be able to do a lot of things that require a lot of big decisions. But you can provide things where they feel important, and they still have functional tasks, but at a simpler way, maybe with 3 or 4 steps instead of 10. You choose things that they maybe have always loved to do, and you modify those things where they can continue to do them. In late stage, they don't need to be doing any cognitive tasks. They're not going to be making their sandwich or folding their clothes or, doing things like that. They have everything to offer, though, in terms of love and socialization and enjoying more creative things. They have so much to offer, but usually you see a picture of someone at that stage that has become very resistant, maybe very angry, and very frustrated and maybe not fun to be around simply because they haven't no one has the education to understand how to take them through these prior stages.
That is awesome information, and I'm not surprised. So tell our listeners about the Amazing Place.
Amazing Plays is a faith-based nonprofit, and we are committed to empowering families facing these challenges of dementia. We are very well aware of how overwhelming they are, and everyone needs to be fully supported. If you are a direct caregiver, or you are part of the care circle, and your loved one with dementia needs to be supported as well. We are committed to helping these families facing these challenges and to advancing brain health as well for all. For almost 30 years, we have served our community with joy and optimism for what is possible in a dementia journey. We are very confident in that. We offer programs for those diagnosed. Your loved one who has been diagnosed, we have programs for them. We have programs for the caregiver, the caregiving friends, and other family members. We have things for individuals and organizations interested in brain health, memory preservation, and the whole aging journey. Most of our programs are free of charge. We have in-person and virtual offerings both in English and Spanish. We are very proud of being able to serve our Spanish community now. Amazing Place will open its second campus in Katy in late spring 2025.
Awesome. So is there a phone number or website? How does somebody get in touch with you to get more information?
Yes, I think it would be on the screen, but our main, there it is, amazingplacehouston.org, and that's our main number. We do have in all the programs I mentioned, and we also have a care navigation program where you can be helped in getting to the right person and having resources that you need. So this is a good way to start. We have something to meet all your needs.
Perfect. So, Ms. Cantrell, I just want to thank you so much for being on our program today, and all good information for our listeners, and we look forward to having you on again soon.
Thank you for having me. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Life Happens with Kim Hegwood. Be sure to tune in every Thursday at 10 a.m. wherever you listen to your podcast as we navigate through the challenges that emerge as life happens. The content of this podcast does not establish an attorney-client relationship or constitute attorney-client privilege, legal, medical, financial, or any other professional advice. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Life Happens with Kim Hegwood. Be sure to tune in every Thursday at 10 a.m. wherever you listen to your podcast as we navigate through the challenges that emerge as life happens. The content of this podcast does not establish an attorney-client relationship or constitute attorney-client privilege, legal, medical, financial, or any other professional advice.